Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the NeuroGraphica live stream. I'd like to welcome you. Today's session will be a focus on the NeuroGraphica Alphabet. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are here, give me a shout out, say hello. I would love to hear from you. We're going to do something very exciting, lots of fun. We're going to I'm going to turn my camera. We're going to draw today. So there will not be necessarily a presentation, but rather me talking to you and drawing and showing you lots of interesting and fun and exciting creative ideas. Excellent. Give me a second. Okay. My vacuum decided to come to me. My name is Lana Shalom. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Lana Shalom. I am a certified NeuroGraphica instructor and coach. And I am here very much excited to present the beautiful NeuroGraphica method to you. And drawing and showing you lots of interesting and fun. There you go. Just wanted to make sure that I see your live chat. Okay, excellent. Let's do this. Yesterday, I presented the whole NeuroGraphica curriculum to you. I showed you the most exciting new, what's being kind of repeated from previous years, the curriculum, and most importantly, what will be the new curriculum. This curriculum, what I'm presenting today, the alphabet, the NeuroGraphic Alphabet, is actually doesn't have any new additions added by Pavel this year. But nonetheless, it's important to note that every time even about the same idea, the same topic, I always present it in a different way. So I'm inviting you to stay with me. Give me a second. I'm trying to understand. What is this? One second, I'm trying to understand what's happening here. Okay. Okay, good. Here we are. Excellent. Let's do this. Hey, Andrea. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to see you. Hello, everyone. Please say hello. Let me know you're here. I would love to hear from you. I would love to see you. And let's start, okay? So even though today I'm going to kind of talk about the same thing, it's still the same alphabet. Nothing has changed. But the way I present it might be different from the way I would present it in the previous editions. I think I have another NeuroGraphic Alphabet open session. But welcome to see it today because inadvertently I may add some new way to look at it, some new perspective, right? We call it some new paradigm, right? Talking about paradigm, I will be presenting it to you through the point of view of the meta-modern philosophy. The meta-modern philosophy, it's called also the meta-modern quadrants. It's also a creation by Pavel Piskaryov, PhD, the creator of the NeuroGraphica method. Hi, Alessia. So nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, dear. So I'm going to be talking about it from this perspective. Let's start, okay? Without further ado, let's do this because usually when I start logging in, it still takes me, even if I try to do it before 12 o'clock, it always takes me longer to log in. So let's do this. It's 12:10. Zoom, I'm going to transfer my camera so you can see what's happening with me, with my table, basically. Now you see me, now you don't. It's called. There you go. I know what's happening here. You see the blurriness. I have to remove the blurriness. There you go. It's portrait lighting. It's like a new thing that it's a new thing that Zoom has added, but it's great for the person's face, but it's blurry when you want to draw on the paper. Let me get a new. There you go. Just gonna get a new drawing pad for us to work with. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Instagram, you're also gonna be changing your paradigm, your perception, the way you can see me. Okay. You see it? Wait, let me check. Give me a second. The camera to follow me. Okay. Now it should be working. Okay, let me make sure you see the paper. Okay, do this. Let's talk about something we call, actually, even this is better even called NeuroGraphic Alphabet or NeuroGraphic Acid. The first and foremost interesting idea about NeuroGraphic Alphabet, let's focus on even the word NeuroGraphica, okay? The word NeuroGraphica consists of two words, okay? So you will actually see that sometimes NeuroGraphica, it's actually the same one word. I just kind of put it separately. But it's interesting to note that, give me a second. Oh, here it is. Okay. That you will see the word NeuroGraphica being spelled like this. I like to spell it like this, the word neuro and graphica together, but G is a capital. But often you will see where the word neurographic is spelled all together with the G being small. Okay, so it's like one long word. I like to separate it because and this is the reason, this is what I want to explain to you so you understand. The understanding is that it's two parts that is synthesized together. Okay, it's a symbiosis of two parts, and it's important for us when we look at it. Remember, visuality is everything in the NeuroGraphica. You know what? I should write it down. I should make a video about the visual aspect of NeuroGraphica, why it works. One of the reasons NeuroGraphica works is the visual aspect. This is what I usually do, right? I'm going to write it down on a memo note. Visual aspect, add to curriculum. Okay, there you go. Sometimes that happens, right? Pavel likes to do that too. He teaches a lesson and he's like, oh, add that. We need to do a part about that. Okay, so that's interesting to note. I like to visually see that there are two parts to the NeuroGraphica method, okay? There's a neuro part which connects us to what? What does the word neuro mean? Of course, it connects us right away to mental process, right? The way we understand and process any information around us, right? It's about the mind, right? It's about the neural pathways, okay? It's about the neural pathways. It's about the fact that things are happening how? Can we see our mind? Can we see our mental process? Can we see the neural pathways? We know there exists. How do we know it? Because there is science, because there is what? All those medical equipment that you can connect to your brain. And that's how they prove that we have a brain, that a brain is created a certain way, right? That it works a certain way. We all know all about the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere, all of that. Thank you for all those beautiful hearts that you are sending me. I appreciate it. Welcome to do that on Instagram as well. And this is what? This is kind of a hidden, this part I want to bring it at. It's a hidden part of who we are. This is the mystical part of who we are as humans, right? Now, in contrast, Graphica is something you can see. Okay, Graphica is, look, if I now add a neural line, that's it. I engage the graphical part. Graphicals means connected to the word graphics. Nowadays, we're all connected to that word because graphic is an important part of any computer. Nowadays, we are so, within the computer process. But if you remember, most of you are like my age, many of you are younger, but you still probably remember. I was in college when computer became a part of our life, right? All of a sudden, giving in, submitting essays was meant we need to type it up. So people started buying personal computers, right? That became a thing where people started owning personal computers. And graphic designers became a very popular, what do you call that? A very popular profession. If you remember, in my days, in the 90s and 2000s, graphic designer was super, super duper popular because, of course, it was a profession of the future. It was about computers. It was about the graphics, right? So we all are connected to the word graphics as something that have to do with computers. Right now, if we see a beautiful picture, anything, we talked about how a lot of things are made AI now, but if we see beautiful pictures, what we can see is the fact that it's graphical, right? I personally, for example, I'll give you an example. I have iPhone, and at one point I had an Android, but I love iPhones. Why? Because even if you take the newest Android, I think it's uncomparable to the way graphics are presented on the iPhone. Okay, the way the pictures is depicted in the iPhone is absolutely unique. Okay, it's you can see better. It has a 3D depth to it. We refer to this as graphics, the way we see something. Okay, the visual representation of something is graphics. Okay, so it's interesting to know that the graphical part represents what? The visual representation. When we talk about the visual representation, it's something we can see, right? It's our eyesight, it's our vision, it's something we can see, right? It's a connection to one of our 5 major senses. One of our 5 senses. This is what makes us human. This is how we see life. This is how we connect to life. It's about seeing, it's about touching, it's about hearing, right? It's about tasting, but in my case specifically now, it's about talking. It's involving your mouth either for food or for talking. Talking, I would say, even more important because animals involve their mouths for food, but animals, although they do have a language, their language is not as structured as ours, okay? There's a lot of philosophical discussion on that part, okay? But that's what it is. Seeing is one of the major ways, okay, to understand. If you ever studied the law of attraction, if you ever studied, the popular neuropsychology is Joe Dispenza. If you ever heard him talk, he's amazing, right? I love listening to Joe Dispenza. But if you ever heard him talk, all he talks is about the fact that our brain processes information by the way of the vision, by what we see, by our eyesight. So graphics is the physical way we connect to what's happening around us, okay? It's, of course, touching the markers that connects me to the marker, but it's also seeing the marker, right? If I don't see the marker, but I would touch it and feel it, that would be a cognitive dissonance. That would make me feel very uncomfortable, right? I want to avoid the word crazy, but most people would say that would make me feel crazy, but it's not just about crazy. It would make me feel uncomfortable because I wouldn't know how to connect this to this item unless I see it, right? What do we say? Seeing is believing. Okay, that's an important part to pay attention to. We always say seeing is believing. So what we see when we see something, that's an important part to how our brain processes as a possibility. And it actually works a different way too. If we start imagining things, right? When we talk about imagination, what is an imagination? It's interesting to know that imagination is somewhere in the middle. Imagination is about thinking. Imagining something really involves a mental process. It occurs in your mind. It's something that occurs within our mind, right? But it involves the vision. We must be able to what? This is what we call envision it, okay? The best thing about children and some adults, right? Some types of adults are involved in something we call daydreaming. Meaning, when you meditate, this is an important question to ask. Let's say you meditate, if you haven't done meditation, any type of meditation, even now, if I tell you, can you sit down quietly, just breathing, focus on your breathing. Some people close their eyes and some people don't close their eyes. It depends on how connected you are to the vision part, right? For many people, they close their eyes because they need to be disconnected from reality and focus on their inner world. There are some people who can control their visual ability and they can open their eyes and keep their eyes open even during meditation. So it's really the personality type. No, I'm not gonna go into that part too much now. Maybe in some later sessions when we talk about the reflection process, we can mention it. But it's important to talk about imagination, right? When we envision something, right, we call it envision, from the word vision, and vision means imagine. In your mind, see something, right? Now, when we talk about in our mind seeing something, most of the time it refers to what? Being able to see something that already exists. If I tell you, can you see something that's called, right? That word doesn't make sense to you. There is no mental representation of that word in your mind. So if I tell you, why don't you close your eyes and imagine blah, 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 you're going to not be able to do this because imagining something has to be connected to reality in some way, okay? It has to involve connecting to some realistic objects that have to do with something we call the future. The future, remember, both past and the future only exist in our mind, only exist in our mental capacity. It's, of course, much more philosophical. It also exists in the spiritual world. But for now, I want to focus on the mental, right? Specifically in this case. It's interesting to start noting. So we need to take reality. Let's say my envisioning, my imagination, something I'm dreaming about, right? Let's take a topic that will be understandable to everybody. Money. If I'm envisioning a certain amount of money, it's very important when you work with a money topic, you must do this. Because sometimes when we talk about, I want this amount of money, you're just thinking about a number. Most of the people would not even add a sign to it, a monetary sign. Let's say, if I'm saying I want, let's just think about it, right? If I want $100,000, for example, notice what I did. I right away added the money sign. I added the number. But for a lot of people, unless I add the money sign, this is just math. This is just digits. Okay, this is just computer language. It doesn't really talk much. But what if I say $100,000 in my bank account? Now that makes it very what? Specific. Right? Because now I added to some realistic way for me to see the money. Otherwise, honestly, when people come and say, I want $100,000, it's like, okay, great, you have it. It's in somebody else's bank. It does exist. What you're asking when you say, I want $100,000, you're saying, I want for it to exist in my reality. But you don't make it exact. Okay, my reality may mean you probably know somebody who has $100,000 in their bank account. Okay, maybe they didn't tell you about it, but that does exist. Might be a neighbor, it might be, your senator, I don't know. It might be a political person, it might be your relative, right? That's what it is. But make it specific. Talk about it specifically. In my bank account, I know some people, some specifically money-oriented coaches, they actually talk. Imagine, right? That word imagine, they say, that close your eyes, they say, and imagine $100,000 as actual money bills. Okay, let's say in my case, I live in the USA, it's dollar. So I would imagine actual dollars, okay? Okay, let's do this, okay? The best way. Imagine actual $100 bill, okay? And they would say, imagine stacks of dollars, stacks of money on the table. There's a specific meditation on that, okay? They say, imagine actual stacks of money on your table. And they ask you, they say, okay, $100,000, how many stacks is it? How many bills is in each stack? Okay. You need to actually sit down. Like, if you ask any lay person, they're not going to be ready to process this because they focused more on the imagine part, on the fact that they want it, but it's not connected to reality. And that's the idea about the word NeuroGraphica. The word itself already implies that there is much more to life than we see it. There is much more to mind than we understand. The mind and the reality must be connected. And of course, I'm not going to go into it right now. We're going to talk more about it during the reflection process video. But of course, it's important to involve your emotions, right? In that meditation, you touch, the coach will guide you, right? And say, touch the money. How does it feel? You can actually feel it with your hand. They say, how do you feel about it emotionally? Connect to it emotional, connect to it on the body level, but the same idea. The word neuro connects to the hidden part of who we are. We don't fully understand. We think we understand. But the more the brain researchers, the brain scientists find out about the brain, the more understand that we don't know anything. We really know like 3% of information about how anything works in our body. There's so much more that we still don't understand. There's so much more hidden. There's a lot of hidden information. And that hidden information, that's what I'm gonna kind of carry over from today to tomorrow. And Sunday is something that's why when something occurs and we're like, oh, I didn't see it, and all of a sudden it happens in my life, it comes into my life, that's why we call it a miracle, okay? Not going to focus on this a lot, but just remember what we talked about when we're going to discuss it tomorrow, and most importantly, Sunday, okay? Very important to note. Miracle is when you take something, a reality that's been hidden, becomes open, becomes visual, okay? Understanding. It's like, oh my God, you guys ever had that? That happens to me. I'm looking for something. I'm like, I'm looking everywhere. I can't find it. All of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, it's right here. How did I not see it? That's because it still existed, but it was hidden from my vision. Okay. It was hidden from my vision. Connecting your vision with your hidden part, connecting your vision, your reality, with your mind, your mental process, is an important part of what the word NeuroGraphica means. Neuro is about our inner part, our inner process. It also two ways, right? It's taking what we see around us, it's processing and deciding, right? I see a certain amount of money now on me, and I take it, I process. I'm like, but that money is not enough for my life circumstances. I need money for this, that, and that. And then I go back to the hidden process. I go back to something we call imagination, but that's not the word adults usually like to use. Remember that, right? We're adults. We don't use our imagination unless you're like me, who's more like in touch with my inner child. I'm very much in touch with my inner child. My element is a tree. We're going to talk about it more when we're going to talk about different types of elements. I will make that an accessible information for you. But it's interesting. Some of us are very much connected to our inner children. So when we connect to our inner children, our imagination is very much alive, is very much is very much connected. We easily connect to our imagination. We easily are able to daydream, even if we're not children, okay? If you tell me now, Lana, think about this, honestly, even if I'm live, I can take my time. I will kind of dissociate from the session, and I will be able to easily get in, imagine, think about something, make it a vivid picture. Okay, for people like that, the law of attraction is amazing because that's what it is. The law of attraction works. Whatever you envision is what will come into your reality. Okay, so NeuroGraphica, that was one of the first, when I first, on my instructor's course, we had to write an essay, right? A final essay as part of the work, like a diploma work. And my first essay was how NeuroGraphic is connected to the law of attraction. Don't remember if I put it on my website or probably not, but if you're interested, I still have that article. I wrote an essay, then my curator, the person who was like my supervisor, she said, no, 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 this is too simple. The law of attraction is too simple. Make it much more. I ended up writing the connection of NeuroGraphica to the Kabbalistic vision, to the mystical way the world works. Okay, so that was the article I sent in for to the institute. That was the article that was actually accepted, and that was a part of my exit, thesis kind of. But that was an interesting part where I wrote. It's like, a nice essay. If you're interested, welcome to write to me. I'll be happy to send it to you. I should actually post it on my website. By the way, my website has a lot of articles. If you're visual learners like I am, you love reading interesting articles and ideas, welcome to read. Okay. And that's the idea. That's a main understanding of the world NeuroGraphica. Okay. NeuroGraphica, the word NeuroGraphica is part of the NeuroGraphica alphabet. It's an asset of NeuroGraphica. It's a patented word. It's very important to know, right? It's a word. You will see the sign. That means it's a registered trademark. It's registered in most countries, including USA, definitely Russia, definitely Israel. No countries, like I mentioned before, Germany, yes, Switzerland, yes, France, I believe, England, I believe, Spain, Italy for sure. Most of the major, I think Pavel is working. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even registered in China, some Asian, India, probably he's working on it. But yeah, most countries he made sure to, Pavel Piskaryov, the founder of the NeuroGraphica method, made sure to register this amazing trademark word for this reason. Okay, I want you to understand, even though using the word NeuroGraphica already brings a certain understanding, already brings the method, makes it alive for you. Okay. Now let's talk about other things. What are the language of the NeuroGraphica? What is, as we can call it ABC, or in our case, it would be A, B, C, and D. Let's start talking about it. And for this, I'm going to utilize something we call the quadrants. The quadrants is a philosophical approach. It's called the paradigmal approach. I have a separate open video on this. You can watch it. It's called Better Modern Quadrants. Watch it. I explained this in detail, but it's the idea that we can take any idea, any philosophical approach, anything, any general idea in the world, and we can divide it into 4 sequential steps. Okay, it has to be a sequential step, meaning this always goes first, this always goes second, this always goes third, and this always goes fourth. By the way, notice the difference. I'm not starting over here because most of the time when you see something like this, you would start 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not the idea. It's like a clock, okay? It's based upon the same kind of way the clock works. This is important because this is the way. Notice a lot of things I explained, by the way, just for you to be aware. It's not just, oh, I wake up and I think to do this way. That's not how Pavel operated. That's not how he created. This idea belongs to Pavel. He came up with this approach. It's about the fact that Pavel we talked about it, he has a lot of background within various scientific approaches, mystical approaches, transformational approaches, integration. And that's the idea. He didn't just wake up. It's about the way our mind looks at the world, the way our mind structures certain ideas and attaches to your mental representation. Remember what I said? If you tell me, Lana, what is a marker? And I have no idea. I never touched a marker. I'm not going to be able to understand what you're talking about. But if you tell me a marker is something similar to a pen, let's say I know what a pen is, but I don't know what a marker is. You would tell me a marker is something that looks like a pen, but it draws or writes in a thicker, more fuller, more colorful way. Okay? And that we can use this understanding toward any object in our life. Look at anything in your life, okay? Try to think, how would you to explain it to somebody who doesn't know what it is, okay? We can call it an alien. We could call the person, we can't even call it person from the third world because nowadays people from the third world have phones. They have computers. People are connected, right? People know what certain things are, even if they're not culturally connected to it, okay? I know the way Chinese people celebrate New Year. Even if, okay, I've been in New York, I actually saw the dragon dance, but let's say I wouldn't live in New York. Let's say I would live somewhere in the desert. But if I would be able to watch it on the phone, on the video, I'm already connected to that idea. And that's something to keep in mind. The way our brain processes information given it to us in vision. That's why I wanted to explain to you the importance of the word graphica. The way we process what we see and use it to improve our own life. We learn to control that. We learn to use that information to bring us closer to our goal. That's why I keep saying NeuroGraphica is a coaching method. Keep that in mind, okay? So this is the idea. The idea is that we see things and our brain processes things much better in a certain way. So when you look at this quadrant, our brain processes, if we put number 1, 2 here, as opposed to here. Why? Because this is how our brain processes the way the clock works. And clock is an important aspect because time is one of the most essential aspects to who we are on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level, any level, right? We say that's one thing we can never get back in life is time. Because the way we treat time, by the way, is the way is the way you notice the way life goes by, right? And this is an interesting part. So always, whenever I show you the ideas in this way as a meta-modern quadrant, it will always be starting here. Number 1, okay, number 1 in the list of understanding how NeuroGraphica works, remember the mental representation, what that mental representation means to you in reality, the way I explained to you in English, or what it means to your mind. What does the marker mean to my mind? It's a tool for expressing myself, a tool for writing, a tool for drawing. Can I write with a marker? Yes. Can I draw with a pen? Yes. Both are okay. But if I want to draw a picture, I will use a marker. And if I want to write, I will use a pen. I'm going to use a marker now because it's better seen for you in the video. But in generally, personal me, I prefer whenever I do my brainstorms, I always do them with a pen. Not with a pencil, not with a marker. I don't like the way it graphically, notice that I'm using the word graphically, the way my eyesight, the way I envision it, I don't like it. I only like to write words with the pen. Okay, start noticing those little things about yourself. Start becoming aware. What do you prefer? What you don't prefer? Okay, for this specific reason. So let's look at the way our mind works, okay? Now this, for those of you who are knowledgeable, to have a psychology background, this will be, of course, heavily connected to the archetypes, to the Jungian view, explanation of how the world works in our mind, how we see things through the archetypal, how we connect to anything through certain archetypes, okay? Number 1 thing, the most important thing to us is the view of the shape. Okay, over here, we're going to focus on something we call shapes. Specifically, the first idea, the very first step, we as human connect to the world is through the shape of the circle. Okay, the circle is the most archetypal. I can give you guys, seriously, I am not exaggerating. I can make an hour-long lecture just talking about the circle. It's one of the most amazing, one of the most significant, one of the most miraculous. Notice the words I'm using, they're all connected to the word circle, okay? Circle, anthropologically, is the basic shape that is being represented to us, humans, in this world, okay? Historically, anthropologically, philosophically, okay? Circle, think about it. What is circle? Circle is a connection to something that there's no beginning and there's no end. It just keeps going on and on. What is this connection? Eternal. Something that goes on and on always. It's a connection. I'm going to write a lot of explanations right here, okay? Circle is a connection to our inner child, okay? Now remember the way the child connects to the world. We're talking about little newborn child or infants, okay? The way the newborn child or infant connects to the world is through the eyes of whom? The mother. So the circle represents motherhood, okay? The way mother takes care of her child. The circle represents the perfect way a child is taken care of. What is a perfect way the child is taken care of? Based on many researchers and psychologists have done a lot and continue doing. My background is in education. My background is in child development, actually. So I can talk about it for hours. I love to talk about it. It's one of my favorite topics. It's about what? It's about nurturing, okay? The true parenting, the true motherhood is about nurturing. It's about loving, and it's about TLC, tender love and care, and it's about providing comfort, okay? Notice all the words, okay? The words that I'm writing are the connected words. This is how your mind works, okay? This is how your neuro works. Whenever you see the circle, this is what comes up to you. Even though you may not think about it openly, it's not going to be like, oh, I'm thinking about a child. No, this happens on a very deep subconscious level, okay? This is a connection to, like I said, your inner child, your way, the way you would love to be taken care of, what you expect from the world. Notice the word expect. Those expectations, remember, the way children look at the world is what? Not very realistic. They're disconnected from reality. Are children connected to the reality? Not so much. They're connected to a certain reality their parents present to them. Specifically, in this case, we're going to talk about the mother. The mother connection is this, a certain view of the world where children only want what the children expect to be taken care of. Okay, they want to be taken care of. They're looking for care. Okay, they want to be fed. They need to be physically taken care of. They need to be fed. They need to be clothed. They need to be given shelter. In many countries, those are the laws. If a parent is unable to provide that, the children are taken away. And of course, as we have discovered for the past 100 years, the shift has been gone also to psychologically being taken care of. They need to be given attention. They need to be talked to. They need to be shown love, not just say, love you, not just, oh, by the way, all parents love their children, even if they don't show it. But the important part is to be shown. That's why I said tender love and care. It's not just physical care, but it's also about love. Okay, showing love, talking about love, explaining, saying how much you appreciate, you love your child. It's very important for a child's psychological, that is, aka emotional, mental, emotional development, okay, which will affect their physical development. And it's a connection to the world. Remember, we talked about the mother, so it's a connection to God. Okay, if you're not a religious person, I'm a religious person, so I always connect to everything through God. But those of you for whom the concept of God is a bit not as, let's say, relevant as to me, you can use the word universe. Okay, it's a connection to the universe. It's a connection to God, a connection to the universe. Whatever is the representation for you in your mental capability for the higher authority, something that's bigger than me, that's taking care of me, helping me. If I'm hungry, I ask for food and I get it. If I'm thirsty, I ask for drink and I get it. If I'm cold, I'm being dressed. If I'm hurt, I'm being healed. If I'm sad, I'm being comforted. Okay, so those are very important terms for us to remember. Whenever you're in need of any of this, you turn to the circle. Remember we did the circles as an exercise for gratitude? So circles, that's why circles is considered to be the basic way to connect to anything in this world. The basics, the most common, the most archetypal, I would say, okay? If you want to see blessings in your life, that's why we drew, by the way, circles, because circles is connection to gratitude / blessings, okay? You say, thank you, mommy, I love you. What does mommy do? She will take care more of you. She will connect more to you. And that's a special connection between the mother and the child, okay? If you want to learn more about specifically the inner child archetype and everything, I have a separate course on that. It's an amazing course. It's called Healing Your Inner Children, Healing Your Inner Child, the reparenting course. Highly recommend for everyone. It did wonders for me. I know it did wonders for all the students that took it with me. It's an amazing, amazing course. But that's what it is. It's a connection to the circle. It's a connection to the idea of the circle, okay? Let's go next. Remember, the circle is a representation of the motherly energy. We also call it the feminine energy, okay? Okay, the energy of the feminine is to what? Take care. Give you love, give you care, give you comfort. TLC. That's a mother for the focus of any mother. Next comes the next shape. The next shape is a representation, I'm going to tell you right away, of the father, okay? With the mother shape, with the circle, the idea is I love you the way you are. I accept you the way you are, because that's what mothers are. Um, we're not going to talk about the archetypes of a mother who is nagging, who says, you're not, can you do this? This is a different idea. That's the mothers whose inner parent is a bit off, okay? But we're talking about the, let's put it this way, the perfect view, the perfect way children should be taken care of is the most important way. This is what we all look for as adults, okay? If we didn't get enough of this as children, that's what we are looking for. Acceptance, okay? Acceptance is directly related to the feminine energy. When we talk about the feminine energy, we talk about the idea of acceptance, accepting you the way you are. And that's another reason why we draw circles. We want to be accepted the way we are. When we don't see certain blessings in our life, it's because we feel we're not worthy enough. We're not accepted enough by who gives everything to us. I'm going to say the word God. You can say the word universe. It's your choice. But that's what it is. When we don't get what we want in life, and we're talking about us as adults, okay? We're not children anymore. Children rely on their parents. We don't rely on our parents. I mean, no matter how old you are, I think you're old enough not to call your mother and say, Mom, can you come and do my laundry? No. You rely on your own, but you rely on God or the universe to provide you with money so you can buy a washing machine or go to the laundromat and do your own laundry. Okay? And when that doesn't happen, when we don't get what we want in life, it's about the fact we feel rejected. What's the opposite of rejection? We're looking for acceptance. When we are accepted by God, we're accepted by the universe, we get what we want in life. That's why when you draw circles, you bring the idea of acceptance in your life. You remove the idea of rejection from your life. You minimize it, okay? I'm going to talk a little more about it actually, probably on Monday, but I'm not sure. Maybe mention it here in the fourth area, okay? Now comes the triangle. The triangle, notice what I did. I went around and I rounded. What does a triangle have? The triangle has angles. The name triangle already involves the word angles. It has angles because the triangle represents what? Peak. How do you peak? How do you, and it represents the fatherly energy, the masculine energy. Masculine energy is about, okay, achievement. Okay, if feminine energy is about acceptance, no matter who you are, what you are, I will accept you no matter what. I love you de facto just because you're my child. You don't have to be the more, and there is no such thing as you're more beautiful or less beautiful. By the way, to their mothers, their child is the best child, the most beautiful, the most acceptable, the most, the best child ever. Okay. Fathers are different. Yes, fathers, and by the way, this is how you see how men have more or less of feminine energy. Some fathers are more accepting, and some fathers like, what's going on here? What have you done today? It's about achievement. Okay, achievement. I'm going to put it a bit different for you. Achievements. I'm going to go further than achievement. It's about accomplishments. Okay. Accomplishment is about, so what have you done to deserve my attention today? Okay, we're going to talk about archetypal, okay? There are lots of fathers who are not like that. But if you think about it in traditional sense, anthropologically sense, okay? Fathers is about, okay, so why would I pay attention to you? What have you done to achieve my attention? What are your accomplishments? It's about what? If you want to learn how to set a goal, you draw triangles. If you want to understand, because the goal is right here, you're right here, the beautiful allegory of the triangle is what? Climbing a mountain. Climbing mountains, okay? Climbing mountains is about working hard, is about doing something to achieve something in life, okay? Without the triangles, without any goal settings, without the idea of achievement and accomplishment, guess what? We would still be living in caves, okay? And that's a masculine energy. If you're lacking that, welcome to take the Nurture Your Inner Child, the reparenting course, because we focus there both on bringing and balancing your feminine energy, your motherly energy, and your fatherly energy. We focus a lot on fatherly. How do we figure it out? How do I bring this part of me that focuses on, yes, I want to achieve this. It's not about the namaste, everything is great, and there is part of it, right? I personally am very much about it. The way I'm living life is great. I'm happy with whatever God gives me. No, that's not how human works. We're going to talk about it specifically tomorrow. I'm going to show you why desire is at the forefront of what we as human beings represent. Humanity, development, the progress, as we call it, in a good way, progress, is about the fact that we are propelled forward by desire. This is about desire. This is about learning how to want something. And not just over here, mommy, give it to me. Because over here, you want a lot of things. Children are a lot about desires. I want this candy, I want blue candy, I want red candy. And mother is about, no, dear, you only get one candy. Too many candies, you may get a tummy ache. But everything is done through the parent figure. Over here, this is representation of learning to achieve things on your own. It's about toddlers, right? I want a cookie, but mommy is not nearby or she's not available. What am I going to do? The cookie jar is on the table. I can't reach it. What am I going to do? It's about learning to move the chair to the table, climb on top of the chair, then stand upright on the chair, reach the top of the table, reach the cookie jar, open the top, get in, take out the cookie, put it on the table, bring it close to your mouth, bite it, and enjoy. You have achievement. You made an accomplishment. This is how we develop the masculine energy, the ability to achieve things, the ability to set goals and to achieve them. It starts here. I didn't mention that, of course, the circle, I didn't mention, circle represents child and it represents childhood. This represents, can you guess? Teenagers, teenagehood, okay? Teenagehood, okay? The idea of teenagers. What are teenagers about? Learning how to be you're an adult, but you're really not an adult. You still live at home. You still have to follow your parents' rules, okay? You still have to do what they want you to do, but you learn to go to push the boundaries. Over here, it's all about boundaries. Notice the circle is about boundaries. Over here, you push the boundaries. You want to break through, right? That famous song, I want to break free, right? That's what it's about. Pushing the boundaries, saying, I want to go beyond what you can give me. It's over here is saying, I want to go out with my friends and come back at 12 o'clock. And parents is like, no. Parents are trying to circle, right? Kind of close you, put you where you cannot exit, right? And that's why you have to be careful when your children are teenagers. You do need to show them and let them have some freedom. Because if you don't do that, guess what? Those children grow up to be adults who don't know how to set a goal, who don't set a goal because they're like, what's the point of it? Whenever I set a goal before, when I was a child, a teenager, I would never be able to achieve because I was never be able to allow to achieve any goals. So this part becomes blurry. This part becomes blurry. So they grow up and say, whatever I get, because they don't have the will. Their will is not worked out. Okay, I have a series of videos where I talk about each structure based on Erickson's stages of development. I actually did it as part of the reparenting. It's an open. You can find my videos, Erickson's stages of development, Lana Shalom on YouTube. You'll definitely find it. And that's the idea. There's a stage there that it's important for you to work out your will, to learn how to set a goal, even if you don't always, let's say they didn't reach it, right? They would say, I'm coming at 12 o'clock. And you're like, no, dear, your curfew is 10 o'clock. They're like, 11:30. And this idea of negotiating is their way of pushing the boundaries. And some parents will teach their children to negotiate. They will say, 10:30, right? And the child will say 11:15, and the parent will say 10:45, and then they would agree on 11 o'clock. This is a very important part. Your teenage children need to learn, or if you work with teenagers, they need to be able to see, to feel, to be engaged in negotiations. That's an important part of their development. If they don't do that, guess what? When they grow up, they don't know how to deal with that. They don't know how to negotiate. You know, they're the kind of people who go to like one of those markets. You know, like if you go to like different cultural places and you go to the market, you can actually, the whole point of the market is to able to negotiate. Like they expect you to negotiate. I'm like one of those, by the way. I don't negotiate. I just buy whatever they tell me. And my brother says, "What are you doing? You know, you got to negotiate." He loves the negotiation, and that part is also an important part. This is what it is. For me, yeah, this part, by the way, is very important, very weak for me. I hate drawing triangles, so that's something too. I hate confrontation. This is about confrontation. What do teenagers do? They confront you, right? They want to fight with you. It's about climbing the mountain. It's about fire. If we talk about element, this is the tree, the air, the wind element, and this is the fire element, okay? Fire is about what? Be careful, right? If you don't approach fire the right way, what's going to happen? You may get, God forbid, burned. But if you know how to use fire, you'll be able to cook food, right? You'll be able to keep yourself warm, right? That's the idea. You have to know at the basic user level. That's a golden rule. We're going to talk about it over and over again. I always like to repeat it. We only use the circle because at the basic user level, this is what we're looking for. We're looking to bring comfort, care, and love to ourselves. Before you start desiring for things, first you need to make sure you talk to your inner child. You comfort the inner child, you say yes. Learn to see the world as something that is trustworthy. That happens over here. Only then you can set the goal. This occurs at much more levels. If you want to learn how to utilize the triangle, welcome to take the neurocomposition course. I will have a refresher course, lots of new information coming up for this, for the neurocomposition, where we're going to actually discuss more about the triangles. But remember, this is still a teenager. Remember, teenager is something who think they're adults, but they still live at home. They're still children. And then comes the third part. Third part is the shape of the triangle. I mean, square. Okay. Now, interesting. The square is about the world's stability is the main word for the square. Okay. Square is about how do you, it's also continuing the idea of accomplishment and achievement, but how do you not just wish for something, but how do you make something realization of your goal? Okay, the word here is realization. Okay, if we talk about elements, this represents the earth and the metal elements. Okay, now remember, I look at the elements not at the four-part system, but the five-part system. The Chinese approach, it's much more meticulous, it's much more more correct, I would say. I've studied it in details, and that's something I'm bringing to you guys. It's absolutely magnificent. Okay, it's much more precise. So I do use a Chinese medicine approach to 5 elements, not 4, just for those of you to know. The earth and the metal is this part, the realization. Okay, and this represents who? An adult, actual adult. Okay, not somebody an adult wannabe. It's right here still, but this is an actual adult, a person who is an adult. Let's talk about the the best scenario. Somebody who lives on their own, so they have what? Autonomy. They have autonomy. Somebody who earns money. Remember, not just spends money. Over here, they spend money. They ask you for money and they spend it. Sometimes they earn, right? They do some maybe babysitting jobs or something. And over here, they don't earn the money. They only connected to the idea of the money through the parent. So the representation of the money is very much connected to who you are as a child, how you were told about the money or represented or explained about what money is as a child. Notice that, okay? Those of you who want to work with the money topic, I'm going to make a whole course. It's actually a very comprehensive course. It's going to be like for 6-7 months. That's how deep and constructive it is, okay? But that's what it is. Adults earn money. Adults know how to earn money, and what's important? Equally to earning, knows how to properly spend money. They know how to make something we call a budget, okay? A budget is like, what do teenagers do? They go and they spend all their money on what? Clothes or gadgets nowadays, apps, you know. Children have no concept of budget. They, again, remember, they don't get money. They don't know what to do with money. They get stuff. It's like more of a barter. They give love and care and beauty and the good feeling to the adult, and adults in return buy them stuff. Teenagers have some concept of money, but they didn't fully yet learn. They may learn how to earn money, but they don't know how to spend money. It's about the budget, right? It's about living in the real world. Remember what I said about laundry? It's about not going to your parents. Teenagers do that, by the way, right? Rarely teenagers do their own laundry. Sometimes they cook, but most of the time, no. They rely on the parents to what? Take care of them. Okay? Adults don't do that. Okay? A second. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with I don't know what's happening with I don't know what's happening with my Facebook. For some reason, I don't see anybody here. Okay. You are frozen. Okay, thank you. Now I'm able to see it. I guess there's an issue with Zoom. You know what? Outside, we have some kind of a weather thing going on. Sometimes that affects the internet. So, keeping that in mind, if you cannot hear me well, please make sure you finish watching this in recording. I'm going to post the video later today on YouTube, okay? So, it's about setting a budget. It's about living the life as adults, taking care of themselves, right? Of your self, of myself. Okay, over here, I am being taken care of. I require, I depend on adults. Over here, I take care of myself. I feed myself. Either I buy food cooked already, or I buy food and I cook, right? I take care of myself. I take care of my living situation. This is also the time when two triangles fit together, forming relationships. Okay. It's about learning how to be in a relationship. It's about learning how to live in a relationship. It's about marriage for most people, right? It's about having children, learning how to what? Be adults. Not just take care of yourself, not just take care of another person, which is what the relationship is, but also learning how to take care of another child, right? Becoming a parent also. This falls in here. Okay? It's about learning how to take care of somebody else. And it's a next level of growth, next level of maturity. Okay, so all these four parts, let me think if I missed anything. This is about stability. And if over here, I remember I told the representation is a mountain. And we say about moving mountains, right? Climbing the mountains. Climbing down from the mountain is just equally as hard as climbing up, by the way. For some people, even more, right? This is about stability. Oh, this is also about instability. It's not stable. We know teenagers about instability. It's about development of emotions, by the way. We're going to talk about it more connected to the reflection process, but circle represents the body, right? The way we see, everything is connected to our vision. We see the world the way it's represented to us, the way we actually see it. There's no full kind of awareness of the consciousness process. This is connecting to the emotions, regulating your emotions. Most people here, because most of us, this is a new development. Learning how to deal with teenagers is a completely new field. It's only been working for the past like maybe 20 years, right? Before that, we focused on processing how to deal with adults. That's a whole field of psychology. Then we learned how to work with children, right? Piaget came, a famous child development psychologist, right? Erickson came, who wrote about the stages of development, right? And nowadays, we start noticing the fact that we're missing this huge gap. We cannot just go, oh, some people did this. They went from child to adults, and we can see those adults because those adults easily revert back to being a child. They never went through the proper stage of the teenagehood, okay? And they never learned how to process their emotions. So they're either overly emotional or they under emotional. They don't know how to process emotions, so they completely eliminated it from their life, or they overly emotions, which means they don't know how to direct it correctly toward their goal. Okay, so this is about body, this is about emotions. Of course, over here is about logic and mental comprehension. It's about your mind, your mental development. Okay, and over here you can see what's going to happen here. If we have a body here, emotions here, mind here, what belongs here? I think we can all agree, we understand it's about soul, it's about spirit, right? It's about the representation of the innermost part of who you are, of your human existence. Okay, let me see something. Is my Zoom up? Yeah, at least I'm on Zoom. Okay, just want to make sure. Let's see if I'm still on Facebook. Give me a second, please. Yeah, my internet is down. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I can see my Facebook was okay. My Insta is also down. Okay, you know what? That's fine. I'm just gonna continue doing this on Zoom. Okay, and you guys watch this in recording. So the last part is comes the soul, and this is the part that's very unique. If all three of these parts come from the Jungian psychology, where we talk about the archetypal representation of what each shape means to me, to us, right? Over here, I like to call it more of a Kabbalistic mystical idea, but what Pavel did, he took that mystical hidden part, what makes us human, of how we presented in this world, something that connects to who we are on a very deep personal level, and he brought it. This is what the method of NeuroGraphica is majorly based on, the idea of neural line. Okay, the idea of connecting. Now, just remember what I always say about the neural line. No two lines, even if I try to go, look, I'm making very sure, try to stay on top of the line, but still I get off sometimes, right? The lines, look over here, see? Cannot fully repeat the line to be exactly the same as I originally drew it, okay? So that's something to keep in mind, something for you to become aware of, okay? Because the line represents your lifeline. The line represents who you are as a human being, as an individual. Okay, and that's what happens here. Okay, if we talk about the age groups, right? Remember, child, teenage, adult. Of course, over here you could say elder, right? But I want you to look at it differently. This is about becoming an individual, and this is about being mature, right? Some people say mature, but that's how I learned to say mature, okay? Being mature, learning to see things beyond what they represent, learning to understand that circle is not just about when we are children. It's learning when you want to see miracles, when you want to see imaginations, everything that childhood represents, when you want to see comfort, care, love, being taken care of, nurture in your life, you start drawing circles, learning to utilize the shapes, the archetypal representation of what the shapes represent to us within our mind, within our deep subconscious, learning to take it and utilizing it to get what you want in life. If you have a goal, and that's what we work with in the basic user course, we have a goal of bringing love, care, comfort to our life. The first level of transforming yourself is self-healing. Self-healing is here, guys. Okay, it's about seeing circles. It's about bringing God into your life, bringing universe, bringing the motherly energy, whether you have a mother who is alive or not, she's alive, you have her alive for many, many years, but if you don't have a mother here taking care of you, it's proven, research has proven, when you draw circles, you start to actually feel the energy of love, feel energy of care, energy of warmth in your life, because that's a representation of the mother energy. If you're looking for an energy that will bring you the idea of reaching goals, reaching heights, we also call it, right? How do you reach heights, right? That's what it is, learning how to climb up and reach heights, right? That's the idea of implementing triangles. Please don't use it in this basic user course. Please only use it if you took the neurocomposition course and you learned how to use it, because guess what? Remember I said confrontation? Yes, triangle represents conflicts. So you have to learn how to use it in the most appropriate way, okay? And of course, if you're looking for stability, okay, the archetypal idea of the triangle, remember I said mountains here. This, by the way, represents food, fruits. The very first way humans ate was fruits. Fruits are all fruits, vegetables. The food given to us by nature is of a circular or oval shape, okay? Think about it. All fruits are mostly circular, okay? Circular or oval nature. And that would provide nurturing and satience to us, food, okay? Over here, square, by the way, is a representation of what? What can you tell me from a reality? What does it look like? House. Square is a representation of a house. Square is the way we bring stability in our life. What is a house? A house is, I'm looking outside, it's crazy raining, gonna start soon, right? And that's what a house represents, right? A house is where I can hide myself from inclement weather, right? A house is where I can hide from danger. I can be safe. I can be warm. I can be comfortable, right? If I want to close myself and I don't want anybody to, if I don't want to socialize with somebody, I go and I close myself, in my house. The way for me to set boundaries, the way for me to see or not to see somebody. And the opposite is true. If I want to kind of see somebody but not socialize, I can look out of the window. If I want to go to see somebody, if I want to open my house to somebody, I open the door. I kind of, again, I control the boundaries of who I let in my life. Okay. And notice what happens when we use a neural line. We are the ones learning to direct who we are as human beings, as adults, in this life, how to utilize each one of the shapes to bring what we need in life. If you're looking for stability, you bring in squares. If you're looking for learning how to reach your goal, climbing mountains, remember, this is not easy. And it can what? It can bring mental anguish, right? When you try to put, be careful with triangles. Sometimes people put too many goals, but if they're not doing it the right way, they don't reach those goals, and then they get what? Disillusioned. We don't want that to happen, right? That's why, again, remember the rule, basic user course, no using triangles. And then we have the circle, of course. If you're looking for miracles, that would be the best way to explain. If something is hidden from your life, if you want something that already exists, you just don't see it. That's the reason you want it, is because it exists, but you cannot see it. That's how desire works, okay? Then you start drawing circles, okay? And this represents your individuality, the way you live life, the choices you make in life, the way your life is shaped, the pathways you create in life. You create your own pathways, you create your own choices, your own way to reach something in life, okay? And that's the idea we have here. Okay, that's the idea of the neural line. We talked about it. We have a whole video we did 2-3 weeks ago, remember? We did a video on exploring the neural line. The neural line represents that, your inner self, your soul that guides you in this life to go forward, to create more possibilities, more ideas in life, okay? I hope today's session was valuable. I mean, I know it was valuable. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to connect to it. You were able to relate to it, as we explore different ideas and different, different possibilities, different understanding of how we can use the NeuroGraphica method to get what you need in life. Okay, and I use the basic example of the money. We know it's much more than that. It's much more than just about the money. Okay. I believe I'm probably off already on my Facebook. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I can't connect. My internet is down. I hope my Zoom is processing this. Yeah, there's no connection, but hopefully everything is recorded, and join me tomorrow. I'm going to actually explore this idea of bringing circles, of miracles, how you have something when you want something, where the idea of desire comes from, how does it originates in the human psyche, in the human world, and the way we live our life, how it's connected to um, when you want something, you already have it in your life. You just cannot see it. Okay, again, connecting this idea of wanting within our brain and seeing it with our vision, with our graphical part of who we are. Wishing you a beautiful day or night ahead. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.